Honestly, I love this pick by the Buffalo Bills, going after Dalton Kincaid, someone who, I think he's a really good player. I had him as a mid first round talent. I get drafting a tight end in the first round is always a bit concerning, and you have Dawson Knox, so this is not a big position of need, I would say, especially when they traded up to get him. They jumped Dallas, which feels like Dallas very well could have gone Kincaid, and that's why I wanted to make this move. And we're going to get into it in just a second. What I like about Kincaid so much, I think he could be a really good fit. And I think just putting him in the tight end box isn't totally fair because of what he can do in the other stuff, because of what he can do in the receiving game and things of that nature, because I do kind of feel like for Buffalo, a lot of people talk about what their passing game is great. It is great, but a big part of that is Josh Allen is great and Stephon Diggs are great. Khalil Shakir and Gabe Davis have both been solid players, and I think Dawson Knox has certainly been solid as well. They even added Trent Sherfield, who did some nice things for Miami, but why not go out and just get another guy who can make plays if you need him to? I like this pick a lot, especially for this value. I think it's good value. I don't know. There's not a ton of players who I would even really consider at this point. There's maybe a few I would consider over, but it's not a ton I would consider over Kincaid at this point. So getting him here is, to me, a great pick by the Buffalo Bills. I think it's a fantastic one, and I think he'll help out the team a lot. But, enough about the pick itself. Let's now talk about the player himself. So this is his Pro Football Focus page. So you see where he, his numbers, and this is something for tight ends, does translate relatively well to the next level. If you have good grades in college, tend to be pretty good at the NFL level. It's not the number one position group that this stuff matters for, but it does matter to some degree. So just throwing that out there. And listen, really good 2022. Now, not a ton of snaps, just barely over 400, or actually a little bit over 400, because that's only the pass snaps. For some reason, the overall snaps isn't on this chart. So I would guess we're looking at a little bit more than that, but still not a ton of playing time regardless. But really good stuff. I mean, the yards per route ran of 2.42 for a tight end is crazy. A receiving grade over 90. Run block grade, not good, under 60. That's under average for a college player. So that's a bit disappointing. But let's talk about what he brings to the table, what I like about him so much. And I actually think the blocking, well, I agree with the grade. I don't think it's as big of a deal, or maybe it is, but there's more to it is what I will say. But let's just get into the tape as a whole. First, starting off with something like this, I just want to talk about his receiving ability, because he cuts like a receiver. I mean, he looks like a receiver out there. A little bit smaller, 6'3", 246, but I think he uses that to his advantage, where you see where he is on the field. That's his route he's running. Relatively simple route. You want your tight ends to be able to win these types of routes. In man coverage, a lot of times on third down, which is what this play is, third down trying to get to the 15-yard line, a lot of times you do look to your tight end in this scenario. Watch how right when this play begins, again, not giving away anything, doing a good job of using route running to help set himself up, not make it clear where he's going. And obviously the disadvantage, if you do this, if you make sure you don't give anything away, is that, well, now it's just going to be a little bit more difficult to get to your spot, right? Well, not if you cut like Kincaid can. Watch that cut and watch how he did get separation. Now, the Utah quarterback decided to throw a touchdown instead, which is, of course, understandable, but still, really good stuff from Kincaid. And again, the way he cuts this is just what he does consistently, and why I'm very high on him and think he could really work out at the next level. Now, let's talk about the blocking for a second, because again, blocking statistics, not very good. That is something that translates to the next level. Guys who have poor blocking statistics, blocking PFF grades, that kind of stuff, tend to not work out as blocking tight ends at the next level. That's true. But I think there's a degree of learning that Kincaid can have that could potentially make it work better. Where, like, for example, what's happening here, I've circled him, watch what happens. Watch how when this play begins, you see that he's going out to block for a wide receiver screen towards that side of the field. That's what he's doing. And you see that he should have room to make this work. However, for some reason, he decides to kind of chip that a player who was getting blocked pretty well and ends up completely losing his own guy, resulting in not being able to make that block. So this is a great example of, like, okay, yes, if I am evaluating this and I am a PFF grader, I put that down as a minus play. He did not do the play that he was supposed to do on that play. What he was trying to accomplish, he failed to accomplish on that play. But I think there's things he could learn that maybe mean it's not as big of a deal for me. Now, he's 23, and just because you can learn it doesn't mean you do learn it. We see that happen all the time. Some players who, don't make these types of plays, consistently don't make those types of plays. So it is a fair knock on him, but it's less worrying to me than if he was just getting manhandled. Because this is another example where I do think that when he has the time and when he does get himself in position to make blocks, tends to do a pretty good job. And this is a good example where you see where he is on the screen, one-on-one block right here. And watch how he is going to be able to, do a good job. Again, not a great job or anything, but do a solid job. And that's what you want to see him be able to do, is just be solid. Because again, his receiving is so good. You just want him to do fine when he's in the pass blocking or run blocking situation, right? Like the Travis Kelce thing, right? He doesn't have to be an elite blocker. He's a fine blocker, and that's all he needs to be because he's so good receiving. Not to say that Kincaid will be Travis Kelce receiving, because that would be insane, obviously. Way too high expectations, but he's a really good receiving tight end. And so when you have a guy like that, you just want to make sure they're good enough blockers, which I think he will be. I'm not overly concerned about it. Heading over here, this is another good example of, just I think what he can do well, which is just in zone coverage, which a lot of times this is what tight ends have to do. Find a hole, find a way to get open in zone coverage. That's what you need from these guys sometimes. I think he can do it. Where what's going to happen here, it is zone coverage. You see his routes going over the middle. Okay, let's see what happens. Watch as he is going to be able to run up. And as of right here, again, what's really important, and the reason why I'm pausing it here instead of letting it play a little bit longer, is he did a great job at not giving away what he's doing. He could be just running a deep route, could be cutting back towards the bottom of the screen, so the linebacker who's kind of passing him off here doesn't know exactly where Kincaid is going. Now, he's going to still prepare for it and do a pretty good job. Watch how he does communicate well. Good stuff by him, but Kincaid still had a bit of a bubble where if the ball was thrown there, he was probably making the catch as long as it was timed properly. So good stuff from Kincaid. Good defense as well, but the good offense beat the good defense in that scenario on that route, even though the ball didn't eventually go there. Really good stuff from Kincaid, and these are the things I like about him, is the receiving game, which to me, that's what I value more. I like a guy who can get open. I think those tight ends are a lot more valuable because, that's how you move the ball down the field more effectively. Listen, having a guy who can run block is obviously very, good as well. Having a complete tight end is very good. But for me, he's so good at the receiving game that's why I have him as my tight end one. But yeah, that's what I think. What do you guys think? Let me know in the comments below. Always love hearing from you. And of course, as always, thanks for watching.